I would like you to just make yourself comfortable. I would like you to just place your arm in a comfortable place, wherever that is, and then I would like you to look at the cuticle about an, basically from your fingertip to your elbow, about 18 inches, from your eye to your thumb. And I would like you to just look at it. And I would like you to don't stare at it. Don't try and see the details or anything like that. Actually, just bring your mind to just the stillness. Just notice how still things are. And as you notice how still it is, notice how your mind starts having that experience of being focused. But you're relaxed. Breathe easily. And as you rest your mind or your attention on your thumb and you start feeling the stillness, notice how the stillness feels good. You breathe through it. And as you look at it, notice how your thumb starts becoming clearer and brighter. You start noticing things about your thumb that you didn't notice before. You might notice the grains in your nails. You might notice the grooves and the wrinkles in your thumb. You might notice the potholes in your skin where it breathes. And it will just become interesting. Then don't try anything, just rest. Don't try and increase the density or anything like that. Just notice the stillness. Now, as you stay in stillness, notice how the stillness spreads. You might be looking at your thumb, but the stillness somehow spreads. And you might notice the places in your body that's uncomfortable. And when that happens, just stay with the stillness. As it happens, you might notice a halo around your thumb. Don't focus on it, just let it be. And the halo effect will increase, actually. You might experience this effect where your thumb becomes somehow bigger and everything else around it becomes more vague. You will at some point initially experience a difficulty of breathing, and as you just stay on your thumb, at some point you will forget about it. And then you'll notice that you're taking a deep breath. The stillness will spread. You might experience this stillness starting to spread to your heart area. That's a really significant experience. Oftentimes you'll feel a lot of blockages in your heart. Some of you might realize that the loneliness that you were feeling, or the hole you were feeling in your heart, was it lacking the stillness. You don't need to do anything. Just notice the stillness spreading. It will spread to your whole being. It will spread to your brain. All the discomforts that you are feeling. But still, just stay on your thumb. Just notice how beautiful your thumb is. Notice at some point you might start smiling at your thumb. And at some point the stillness will go through. And as the stillness goes through, you will notice that it feels refreshing. Like something cleared. And it will feel cool. Yet your body will feel warm. Some of you might feel a lot of heat as the stillness spreads. Okay. So now, as you're staying with the thumb, and as you continuing to experience that spreading, even as I'm talking, continue. I just want to give a moment where you can just stay with the stillness until it really just started spreading. And just continue to stay with it. I just want to make sure that I continue with the lesson for today. And even if you don't hear me, it's okay. The experience that you're having is what's more important. This is what I would call the experience of the kingdom, where you enter into the kingdom. And this is actually the state of mind changing. The interesting thing is that your focus or your state of mind, whatever you want to call this, the quality of your mind is the base of your experience. It is something that you take everywhere. And so it's an interesting thing to think about, but if the quality of your focus or the quality of your mind or the quality of your attention is not still, if it's not on stillness, you'll notice that you probably didn't realize how imbalanced your body was. And as you just stayed, and you started with your thumb, and as you just stayed in stillness, it started spreading just naturally. It started spreading through your whole body, and it started balancing your whole body. You didn't need to do anything. There was nothing to do. And if you want to save, there's only to see. And you saw things balancing by themselves, or you experienced things balancing by themselves. Stillness was doing the work for you. Everything in your body, when it encountered stillness, started recalibrating to the stillness. And that stillness was the balance itself. And whatever discomfort you were feeling, when it encountered that stillness, it eventually became still and started finding balance. And once it found balance, you started experiencing this clarity in your body, this freshness in your body, where you felt energized, where you felt warm. where you just started feeling good without having to do anything. And that is the power of stillness. Now, within the system, in terms of the scriptures, we look at this as the Tao. The Tao is empty. It is useful because it is empty. It is said that its use is infinite. You can use it however you would like. Isn't that interesting? It is useful precisely because it is empty. Like if a bowl, the bowl is useful because it is empty. If the bowl was full, then it would be useless. If you are full, you're useless. You can't learn anything. You can't adapt. You can't take in life. When we are too full, when our attention, the quality itself, feels too full, if it's not on emptiness, if it's not on stillness, if it is not still, you cannot take in life. There is no gratitude. There is no grace. And so, from the Tao Te Ching perspective, as you read the Tao Te Ching, I want you to read the Tao Te Ching after you've actually allowed yourself to come into this kind of focus, this state of stillness. Because, and the reason I use the word focus instead of stillness is because focus is a coming together of your attention. It's a coming together of your attention. It is a union. But if I were to say union, it may not mean a whole lot. But if I say focus, or placing your attention on stillness, where it feels focused, focus is where you bring things together. So union happens with focus. So that's actually why I'm using the word focus. It doesn't need to be. If that word doesn't work for you, then just make sure that you remember the experience that keeps ever improving. The powerful thing about this is that it grows infinitely in its potential. And I will continue to expound on the different aspects of this experience. Today, I just wanted you to see how it naturally spreads. Because if you don't realize this, you're going to try and do something. And ironically, that doing is what distracts you from letting it spread. It's what distracts you from letting it do its job. You don't need to do anything. It does it for you. Its use is infinite. And that is the experience of the divine. That is the experience of God. It is said that the voice of God is silence. That to hear God, to hear the divine, that you have to be able to hear stillness. That when you are in stillness, that you hear divinity. And you have experienced a taste of that. You started experiencing peace. And peace is always present. It's transcendent. It's transcendent because it transcends us. It transcends the individual. Because whatever condition you're in, stillness is ever present. Whatever condition you're in, you can always be present with it. And at the moment you become present with it, it becomes present with you. It is literally a love relationship. And as you learn how to become present with it, you realize that this is the very experience of falling in love. This is the very experience of the love that we experience with each other, where we place the attention and the attention comes back to you. Isn't that interesting? You were placing your attention on your thumb, yet you started receiving attention back. That stillness started spreading. And some of you will have experienced your heart filling. And it's interesting that it fills with emptiness. It fills with nothing, yet it is filled fully. Yet, in our case, we're trying to fill it with something, and that something distracts you from everything. And so ironically, the thing that we're looking for is nothing. And that is the discombobulating thing. We feel so empty that we're looking for something to fill it. Yet when we fill it, it becomes empty again before we know it. And because it feels so empty, we don't think for a moment that what we're looking for is emptiness. Yet, the voice that we want to hear most is silence. The voice that is the sweetest to us is silence. In stillness, we come in contact with all that is. And that's the main lesson I want to teach today. Whether it is you read scripture, whether it is you use the Sunshine One Prayer journaling system, whether it is you do the Negong, it is all based upon this one experience of union. Because it is there to enhance that experience. It is there for you to be able to dial into this experience easier. They are there as an aid to this fundamental experience until you can experience this fully. When you read the scripture and you become present with the words, you actually read it in a way where, as you stay with it, the words start coming to you. And if it doesn't, you just stay in stillness with it. You just learn to become present with the book until the stillness spreads, and then the stillness encompasses you. And then you start reading, and you'll notice that the reading is very different. It's almost like you're being read. And that's how you tell. And you learn how to expand this awareness while doing other things. Because oftentimes, we are either meditating and having this experience, or we're doing something else. But that shouldn't be. The scriptures teach us that you can have this experience no matter what it is you're doing. And this experience, this mustard seed, spreads like a mustard tree. It becomes big, it becomes everything. A mustard bush, it's actually called a mustard bush. It's actually a weed, it's actually not a tree. So if you go into that region in the Middle East, mustard seed is small, but when, and becomes a full tree where all the birds rest, actually the thing that people don't realize is it's actually a bush and it's a weed, so it spreads everywhere. And so that analogy was actually kind of an ironic analogy because it wasn't like what people would think. It wasn't something that was majestic. It was a weed. But what Christ was trying to teach us is that this experience of the kingdom, of being in this divine place, can spread like a weed, that it doesn't need to require any kind of effort. And that's what we need to keep in mind. It should not require any effort. We just need to rest in the kingdom. And so, as you read the scriptures, you read it from this place where it envelops you. The reading is very different because the quality of your mind is very different. When you journal, you actually journal not in a rushed way. You just stay present with the page until the page comes to you, until things start flowing through. And then as you start writing, the writing naturally brings a certain kind of focus. It brings your attention to your feelings and the things that you would like to put down on the page. And then as it happens, you literally feel things from inside flowing onto the page, and you empty out. And you have a profound feeling of being listened to. You have a profound experience of being held. You have a profound experience of communion and talking. And ironically, as you learn to talk to yourself in this manner, something profound happens. You start talking to other people in the same manner. And the same thing with the practices, whether it be Negong, whether it be the Qigong. The Qigong is basically doing these exercises with movement and breath. Negong is actually where the focus goes more on the inside, where you're moving your organs or circulating the qi through your organs. So one is an external exercise, one is an internal exercise. But whichever it is that you're practicing, without this, it becomes a piecemeal exercise. When you don't have stillness, then you start focusing on the pain. You start focusing on what's wrong with your body. And so, if you're doing shoulder rotations, if your attention is on the stillness, then you'll move in a way where you experience stillness. So stillness spreads. When you do the form, you move in a way where you feel the stillness, where you don't lose the stillness. And so, the stillness spreads, becomes more and more profound. And you feel your arms being moved by stillness. Yet, if your attention is not on stillness, on nothing, then you'll focus on the actual physical body and how the wrist moves or doing something, and the tension will creep in. And before you know it, actually, the exercise will become useless. Maybe if your shoulder is aching and you do a shoulder rotation with the focus on the tense shoulder, maybe in the beginning it will release a little bit, temporarily. Maybe you can force it open a little bit, but the relief will be temporary, because fundamentally you are stretching something or moving something on the surface when the balance underneath is lacking. There is no stillness in the body. You're moving it before you've brought stillness there. You're not spreading stillness. You're actually spreading and mushing tension. How can that be good? And so the practice of the Taoist exercises is to start from this place of stillness and learn how to move with the stillness so that you can carry that into everyday life, how to stay present with this and spread it. So that's actually how it ties into the rest of the system, and this is the beginning. So today, I just actually wanted to do a quick review of all that we've covered in terms of focus, and then give you the experience of your focus spreading naturally without you having to do anything, and how that ties into the rest of the system, and that it's there, all the tools. The tools are not there to actually help your life per se. The tools are actually there for you to be able to ease or bring more ease into bringing or experiencing the stillness. The stillness is the center. And that stillness is actually what makes the rest of your life better, by letting that spread into everything else in your life. And then I wanted to tie this to the experience of divinity, where we realize that the voice that we've been looking for, that the embrace that we've been looking for, is nothing, which is irony.